But on the other hand, they'd have to have a Soul Shatter ready to make it even a little bit worth their while against what I've got coming down next. There's the Oddity. There's a 16 damage swing to the face. Go ahead, Turgid, get in the way. This is going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt me. Do they have the Soul Shatter, though? Deadly Dispute, they are digging for it, but the treasure's not going to give them enough mana to cast it. They have to hope for an Infernal Grasp. What did they get? There is Priority Hold. Or is it that they just haven't finalized the assignment of blockers? Oh, and all the way home. 11 damage to the face. And hello and welcome to the Florida Men Gaming. I am Furion, and today we will be playing Magic: The Gathering Arena. This season we are looking to work our way from Bronze to Mythic and have some fun along the way. But before we get started, I would like to ask you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you happen to be on Rumble, go ahead and hit that Rumble button. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers and would love for you to join us on the journey. For today's deck and video, we will be playing a mono-green Stompy deck that I have called Trampage. It is a trample-based aggro that relies on the Unnatural Growth to just get us scarily out of reach and pound home victories within 4 to 5 turns. For this deck, we are playing 4 copies of the Tenacious Pup, a 1 mana card from the Alchemy set, which is just a banger. If you're playing mono green and you're not playing Tenacious Pup, I don't know what you're thinking, but when you play this card and it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. Then the next creature spell that you cast will enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter, trample, and vigilance. This is a terrifying card to pair with any card in our hand, as most of what we have either has trample or can get to trample. So cards such as the Werewolf Pack Leader from the Adventures in the Forgotten Realms set, a 2 green mana 3/3, which with Pack Tactics, if it attacks with creatures totaling 6 power or more, you can draw a card. And for 3 and a green, you can give it 5/3 base power and toughness and turn it into a trampling monster. If it enters the battlefield with the Tenacious Pup's Pump, it will also have Vigilance and Natural Trample, not requiring you to use that. Other trample cards that are part of our theme here, we're running 4 copies of the Old Growth Troll, 4 copies of the Ulvenwald Oddity, 3 copies of the Geistpack Alpha. This is another alchemy card. This one's intriguing as it does draw you cards if it happens to die based on the number of lands you control. So ideally, you want to play this out in a situation where you think the opponent might have removal and go for it immediately, or use it to chump block things when you have the right land total. It does get a little scary to try and draw cards when you're above your land total, as it won't. We also have 2 copies of Froghemoth, a 3 and 2 green trampling hasted monster, which when this swings through, you can exile cards from your opponent's graveyard, up to 4 target cards. If you exile creatures, it gets +1/+1 counters for each creature that you exile. If you exile sorceries, enchantments, or non-creature spells, you get 1 health for each of them that goes away. And 4 copies of the Unnatural Growth. This is kind of the jank card that we're trying to run. This is the card that we built the deck around. Part of what we tried to do is also work in haste as part of our model, which is why we have the Ulvenwald Oddity and the Froghemoth. Really just get the cards down on the board immediately and go right for face. Other pieces that are built in here to help us with our overall strategy. We are running 2 copies of Inscription of Abundance. This will either give us pumped counters to help out on our swing through, or allow us to battle into other opponents. 4 copies of the Blizzard Brawl. For the same reason, we want to give ourselves some indestructible, take key pieces off their board, and just give us that extra point of damage that allows us to go through. And 4 copies of the Snakeskin Veil. Of course, we all know what that does. Hexproof is pretty crucial. The other card we're using to be a little sneaky here is Settle the Wilds. What we've determined, we lowered this deck's mana from 24 total land to 22. Doing that, we put a couple copies of Settle the Wilds in, so that if we happen to get to 3 mana, but it looks like we're stuck and in some trouble, we can use that to draw into some of our 4 drops, put a land on the battlefield, stabilize us a little bit, And if we're at 4 mana and stuck, draw into our 5 drops, stabilize, and just really give us a nasty board state and the ability to play out what we have. Top of our mana curve is 5 mana. We typically get there even with the less land, which has been a blessing. I don't know what is up with the algorithm, but I've not had a problem so far drawing into the lands I need. At least not on time. Every now and then I miss a turn or two, but I typically get what I need with what I've got. The only question is my hand fast enough compared to what I'm playing with the opponent? In testing, this has been a fun deck. I did make some tweaks from what I had initially brewed before coming to the ranked playlist. I had some copies of cards that gave trample to creatures. I'd had some pump cards, I had Wild Shape instead of Snakeskin Veil, and realized I don't want to be modifying my bigger creatures. I just want to give them hexproof, which was really the reason. Trample, most of my creatures already have, so there was no need to hold on to it for that option to add trample. But yeah, with that, we're excited to play this one. We will take it into the ladder and see how it does. And we have an opponent. This is a good starting hand. We're going to go ahead and keep that, hoping to draw into some of the mana, knowing that we are running a little less than maybe is optimized for this deck, but the 1-2 punch of the Werewolf Pack Leader and the Tenacious Pup is a little too good to pass on. Opponent leading with a turn 1 Shambling Ghast. And we'll go ahead and pass the turn. No need to give up any bodies before we have to. And there's the Infernal Grasp. At this point, better to draw out the removal. They have no idea what's coming next. There's a third land. That is huge. We're going to go ahead and Blizzard Brawl just because we can. Probably a mistake. We'll probably end up, yep, they just ended up using it to ramp, but we'll clear the way so that we have unfettered access to their face, at least for a turn or so. I twitch. Really hoping for one more land so I can get the Ulvenwald Oddity down. There we go. Shuffler is being very kind to us today. Gonna go ahead and swing. Let's see what the opponent elects to do here. Creating another treasure token. Couple of big hasty creatures. Let's see what they've got. Another Infernal Grasp. To be honest, not shocked. Another land, we can get an Unnatural Growth down to the floor. Oh, a Geistpack Alpha. We'll go ahead and take that. What's beautiful about this card, when it dies, we do seek a card with the mana value of the lands we have in play. So it's actually not a bad deal for this puppy to go down. Will allow us to pick up another Ulvenwald Oddity or something of that vein. Opponent leaving some mana open. Cursebound Witch, 1-2. Oh, and a Froghemoth. Okay, let's go ahead and swing for it. Again, with the trample, there's not much they can put in this way that's going to slow us down too much. Go ahead and let them have it. It's taking both of them either way. Let's see what they elect to do here. Deadly Dispute. I don't think they know that trample is going to just continue to plow right on through. Almost better that they didn't even put something down in the first place. They are sitting on a heap of mana now, though. We are looking at 7 total mana available to them. Opponent now down to 7 health. Let's see if they elect to remove the Geistpack. Oh, that could be their next play. That mascot exhibition will be nasty. But honestly, if they do it, it's going to be a favor to us, as we are happy. That is a favor to us as well. Most of our deck is hasty, so all they did was help us get to the next stage. And of course we draw the Geistpack. Okay, but that is good for us too. Froghemoth to the board. Gonna swing in and start exiling their creatures. Let's go ahead and take away a Cursebound Witch and a Shambling Ghast. Take away some of that ramp. Oh, I should have taken more. I don't play this card often enough. I thought I was limited to 2. I guess that is what it is there. Froghemoth getting big and scary. And on this next turn, the Unnatural Growth is going to swing it home for us. So the opponent, no matter what they play, even if they drop that Mascot Exhibition, is not going to be able to block us, at least to stop us from hitting them all the way through. We will go ahead and hit them. We'll go ahead and swing. We'll wait to see if we have lethal here. I don't feel like doing math. Math, of course, as we all know, is for blockers. Doesn't much matter what they put in front of us. This is coming all the way home. And the GG. Perfect for lethal. That's the scary thing about this deck. All that hasty trample, it can just get big and swing on home. We have found an opponent. Going up against a Ren and 7 avatar could be another mono-green mirror match. We're going to go ahead and mulligan. We need a little more land than that if we want to have any chance of staying in this. And we have enough Unnatural Growth that I am confident we will draw into another one. And look at that. The land is coming out on curve. Opponent showing black first. Showing black second. And electing to hold. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go ahead and wait to play the Werewolf Pack Leader until we get the next land down so that we can not only play it, but play a Snakeskin Veil to protect it against any potential Infernal Grasp. And a Blizzard Brawl, that is a good pickup. We will wait to use that though. We want to make sure we can protect ourselves from any type of direct targeted removal and then be able to swing all the way home. City Stalker Connoisseur. Alright, well, what'll be interesting is I'm going to elect to discard the Old Growth Troll here if it gives me a choice. Yes, it does. We'll use the Settle the Wilds to get either a Geistpack Alpha or an Ulvenwald Oddity into our hand, and then have a pretty good card available to us from there. And I should not have played that. That's going to mean that we're going to draw now into most likely the Froghemoth. Oh, we picked up another one of our Unnatural Growths. I will take that. And, unfortunately for them, I'm going to take the City Stalker Connoisseur and keep the Werewolf Pack Leader all to myself. We're going to go ahead and swing on home with the Werewolf Pack Leader. Just clear their board. And the opponent elects to ramp. So now they're now up to 5 mana. That could be a Lolth. Could also be, now with the 6th mana, a Professor Onyx, but that's if they're playing any of the Super Friends. Demogorgon's Clutches, that is unfortunate, but we're going to go ahead and dump that as we don't have, I believe, if I remember my deck correctly, any 6 mana. That is a heap of land. For a deck that cut land down to squeeze more spells in, I mean, to have that much coming out from the top is ridiculous. And the opponent is punishing us a little bit there. So we're going to go ahead and play the Unnatural Growth down, just get it on the board. And the minute we draw a hasty creature, this game is going to spiral for our opponent. Let's see what they've got coming down the pike. I don't know if they have a way to remove any enchantments or artifacts. A-Faceless Haven is a good pickup. That allows us to actually start swinging in immediately once we get off the summoning sickness here. Opponent going to have to make a decision as they watch this work. Deadly Dispute, sacrificing the blood token. Go ahead and resolve. Not that I have any way to stop those triggers. Nice thing now, if the Werewolf Pack Leader stays alive on the board, it will start drawing cards of its own volition with that Unnatural Growth. Doesn't need to swing in with any friends to get it. So we might end up holding the Faceless Haven in reserve just to keep ourselves with attack options each turn as they burn through whatever removal they might have. Opponent contemplating what they want to do. Unnatural Growth makes these cards a lot scarier as most of what they can play to get in the way. There's a Blood on the Snow. So now the opponent is tapped down, and the only thing they can bring to the board, well, doesn't really affect me. I don't have anything in my hand to discard. Let's see if we get lucky here and draw another Blizzard Brawl. If that happens, that's going to be a big boon to our situation. A second Unnatural Growth. Why not? Not too concerned. If they want to swing down, that is on them. Turgid. That is not what I want to see. But on the other hand, they'd have to have a Soul Shatter ready to make it even a little bit worth their while against what I've got coming down next. There's the Oddity. There's a 16 damage swing to the face. Go ahead, Turgid, get in the way. This is going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt me. Do they have the Soul Shatter, though? Deadly Dispute, they are digging for it, but the treasure's not going to give them enough mana to cast it. They have to hope for an Infernal Grasp. What did they get? There is Priority Hold. Or is it that they just haven't finalized the assignment of blockers? Oh, and all the way home. 11 damage to the face, and the Oddity still on the board. Now this next turn, we won't bother playing with the Ulvenwald's Pump. We're going to just jump the Faceless Haven right into their face. Make them burn down some mana. Do they have another Blood on the Snow? That could be a way to get... Oh, a Meathook Massacre. Interesting. Burns down a lot of mana for them, though. Another snow-covered forest. We're going to go ahead and get the Faceless Haven up on the board so it can take advantage of the Unnatural Growth. They're probably going to have to start using that blood token. There it goes. They're going to start trying to dig for something, anything that allows them to stabilize, but I don't know if they're going to find it. And here comes Papa. Sorry for the clap there, folks. I forget the microphone is right in front of my face. Just very excited. This deck has now performed in 2 separate occasions against Mono Black, and again, 2 Unnatural Growths down on the board is just not fair. So, with that, we will see you in the next one. We will see if he lives up to his name, Uber Swagger. I'm going to go ahead and mulligan this. The 2 land is not bad off the start, but this is more the realm of what I'm looking for. I want to draw into some 1-drops. We'll go ahead and drop one of the pups, hold on to the Snakeskin Veil, and just get our playline rolling. Now the hope is that we draw into one of our Werewolf pack leaders, or Old Growth Trolls, so that we can play them down in a fast fashion. So far, no joy. Let's go ahead and see if they want to trade that Lunark. They don't. This deck, we have to try and do everything we can to check its health total, as it can get out of hand very quickly. The beauty of the Geistpacks and the tramply creatures, the fact that they get as big as they do, means that we can swing into their face relatively unafraid for most of this matchup. The downside is they've got very high health pools on a lot of the Angels, especially if they start dropping Righteous Valkyries, which it would not surprise me for them to have it. We're going to go ahead and just pass this turn. It doesn't make much sense to swing in and give him a life on the Angel of Unity. Even if I pump with the Snakeskin Veil, I don't have nearly enough power to power on through. Opponent taking their time. I don't know if they are locked out. There's a blue mana. So they are playing the Esper version of Clerics. That is not terrible for us, as the Geistpack Alpha, I have 2 of them, so they can take 1 and we are still okay. Question is, do they go after the Snakeskin Veil and limit our ability to stop them from directly targeting our spells? They go after the Snakeskin Veil. Okay, that is an intriguing playline for them. That is a very expensive veil. Probably realized it didn't much matter if they took one of the alphas. And we draw into an Old Growth Troll. Now the question becomes, do I want a 5-4 or a 6-5? And of course the answer is going to be 6-5, especially if neither of them have haste. So we're going to go ahead and pass turn. I am happy to sacrifice this Geistpack, but that right there explains why they targeted the Snakeskin Veil, banishing Verse coming down and eliminating our really pretty boy. Let's see what they do. They play a tapped land. Do they untap it or do they elect for the scry? Looks like they elect for the scry. It could indicate issues inside their hand. They're swinging in big. 5 damage coming down. Nothing I can do to stop it at this point. Another land. Tell you what, again, I think I stated this in a previous video. For a deck that shaved lands, I have no problem drawing into them. We'll go ahead and see if we can take a little bit of poke damage. This deck would be well served with a little bit of reach, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Let's see what they get. Hopefully not a Righteous Valkyrie, but it could also end up being one of the Glasspool Mimics, which would then just open up a world of possibilities for them. Okay, they're now up to 24. Manageable, but a little nervous. One more card play on their side, and this game is probably going to be over as they will have spiraled out of control. Do they untap? I don't know that they have any reason to. I would suspect that they're going to scry again. There's the scry. I have nothing that can block their aerial threats. They're going to go up to 25 health. The next card they play is going to put them well out of range until we draw the Blizzard Brawl. Oh, this game loves me. Gonna go ahead and take the Valkyrie off the board. And we will swing in with the Geistpack. We have enough ground blockers to give us one more turn. Pending, of course, another Vanishing Verse, but even still, they have a total of 9 damage on board. And with the Geistpack swinging in, if they elect to block, that's fine. It's invulnerable, but we will take them well out of range of one Righteous Valkyrie's ability to pump them up. So, unless they land 2, we should be somewhat okay here. There's a Glasspool Mimic. What do they elect to copy? An Inquisitor Captain. That makes sense. And what do they draw? There's another Inquisitor Captain, which means they had another Glasspool come out. So now they're up to 21. Fortunately, they only have the one life gain engine, and there's another Righteous Valkyrie, so the opponent has found a way to get all the way through with enough creatures. I don't think I can win this one. It's going to be an interesting swing at the finish here. I would have to draw a Unnatural Growth to pump up to any chance of having something happen, but even still, they have enough bodies, and I would only get up to a total of 14 that I just don't see it happening, folks. Well, we're not going to go down without a fight, so we're going to go ahead and swing in. See if they elect to block anything. Doesn't appear that they care, which is a good attitude for them to have, as there is literally nothing I can do at this point. That Vanishing Verse was crucial on their part, kept me from staying in this game, and the fact that they have not played into what I need when it comes to the Geistpack Alpha's ability and swinging at it. Wow, that is a big aura. That is a smart play on their part, keeping it in their hand and pumping it up. And a Faithful Disciple. Does that pump them all the way? It'll be close. Nope. We're going to go ahead and take our beating. Hit them with the GG. They definitely earned it. Don't know why they're not swinging with everything, but I don't mind not being put down to negative 50. We have an opponent. This is a good hand for us. We're going to go ahead and keep really playing into that Settle the Wilds here on turn 3 to start, giving us some of our bigger boys and the mana to play them. If it draws us the Unnatural Growth as it has done in a previous matchup, that is just fine for us as well. Old Growth Troll for turn 3, but we're not going to play it. We're going to elect to Settle the Wilds, give us another 4-drop, maybe one of our Ulvenwald Oddities, and go from there. Minimize what they can see on the board. With black and white, we could be facing down some exile, which is less than ideal. Ambitious Farmhand, a card I haven't seen much of since Midnight Hunt. It's making appearances here and there. Oh, and we are drawing right into some beautiful mana. Oh, and the Ulvenwald Oddity, just what we were hoping to draw. We'll be able to get that down next turn, and that's if we elect to play it. We might, just because we'll be able to swing in, but I kind of want to play Settle the Wilds while we can still grab cards within the range. Because after this next settle, we are not going to have any cards big enough to draw. Wedding announcement. I wonder if we're playing a black-white enchantments deck here. That would be intriguing. Oh, that's perfect. We're going to go ahead and Settle the Wilds. We'll play down our next land and put down the Werewolf pack leader. And there's the Froghemoth. That is right in line with what we were hoping to draw out. We can go ahead and swing in, see if they take the damage or if they elect to chump block the Werewolf. This next turn, the opponent is not going to be a happy camper. That Froghemoth is a huge pickup. Let's see if they tap down at all. If they tap down and don't have an exile or instant effect to remove it, it is not going to be a good turn for them. And they elect to use that exile on one of the Werewolf pack leaders. I don't think they understand what's about to happen. Froghemoth. And a Tenacious Pup. We're going to go ahead and play that Tenacious Pup this next turn. Opponent does not have the mana to do anything here. Do they go all in on the pack leader? No, they don't. Let's see. Choose up to 4. And Tenacious Pup to the board, which means that the Ulvenwald Oddity coming down on the next turn is going to be massive. I don't know that the opponent has anything that can get in the way of what's happening here, but we shall see. They are going to most likely, based on them touching that. Oh, they're going to Vanishing Verse. Doesn't much matter in our favor, in our mind. We have big threats coming. Oh, that is beautiful. We're going to go ahead and play that. Make them give up everything for the Werewolf pack leader if they want to stop it. And we draw land. That is gorgeous. Are they just chumping? They're just chumping. Intriguing. Go ahead and put the land down. Right now we are keeping our board relatively safe. Do they tap down? Right, that might have been a mistake, but the Unnatural Growth is too good not to have up. Sanguine Brushstroke, they don't have the mana to stop whatever's coming next, and we have some big things happening on this next turn. Tenacious Pup getting big. Do they try and swing past it? They don't have Coven, so the Ambitious Farmhand stays as is. Ulvenwald Oddity coming down. They only have 1 mana up. We're going to go ahead and put the Faceless Haven on deck as well. Doesn't have Trample, but we're going to have to make them make some very tough choices here. Everything getting big. Oh, man. At least 4 damage is going to get through the Ulvenwald Oddity, and that's not including everything else that's coming through on this turn. Another green mana, so we are just curving right out. A lot of hard choices here. They have to block everything but the Ulvenwald, and even that's not going to be enough. They don't have quite enough mana for a Doomscar, and everything is a little too big for a Meathook Massacre at this moment. They're going to get 3 life back. But that Faceless Haven is going to sneak back away, and unless they have instant speed removal to follow up a board wipe, they are done for. Opponent contemplating. They are looking at that Ulvenwald Oddity, but again, there is a heap of problems between us and them. That's fine, I'm still swinging in with 8. You have to have something else here, or it's not going to be worth it. Environmental Sciences, they're up to 9. Now I can just pump that Faceless Haven, and it will be GG for you. Gonna go ahead and give them the GG. And they're gone. Ladies and gentlemen, Unnatural Growth strikes again. Alright, and we are back. So, this deck performed remarkably well. Didn't really run into any major issues. I'm going to go ahead and pull the stats over to start, and then we'll kind of talk about what I like about it and what I don't. Overall, we performed 3-3 in the matches we played on the ladder. Ended up going 50-50, and this deck was really good against mono black control. Ended up winning all of our matches against mono black, beat down an Orzhov deck. Struggled in a couple of interesting areas. Werewolves came out faster than we did and had cards that were really set up to beat us. Rahilda, the wanted Cutthroat early, really forced us to sacrifice some of our key pieces to keep them from drawing some of the lands and other important cards out of our deck. It was a hand that we had struggled a little bit for early lands, but had some early enough plays to keep chump blockers in its way. And then by the time they got their Tovolar, their Tenacious Pup, their Stormseekers down on the board, we were just too far behind to catch up, keep up, or get ahead. The Orzhov deck that you see there, you'll have in the video we won. The Boros deck, and I don't know why I keep looking at red-white and saying Orzhov. The Boros deck was an interesting equipment-based play. They pumped to the moon an Angel of Unity using the Alchemy card that draws utility knives, and the other one that at the beginning of upkeep gives you lands, and then they ended up playing a Halvar and double strike their way right through to victory. There wasn't really much we could do there. They just had a really good draw, and we didn't get to the point where we could draw into our bigger threats, and they just went right over the top of us. So really interesting and fun deck. Mono black has been a problem for some of the other decks that I play, but really outside of that, you know, this deck is a blast. We didn't have any problem getting our unnatural growths down. When those hit the board, and you saw it in the gameplay footage, our creatures become just unmanageable. And having a couple Faceless Havens in our mana base, even though we're only running 2 of them, we didn't have any trouble drawing them. And I'm only running 2 because we have enough creatures here with the Werewolf Pack Leader, the Old Growth Troll, the Oddity, things that require multiple green mana. I didn't want to draw into multiple Faceless Havens early. I'd rather risk not drawing any of them and guaranteeing that the mana that we're drawing into is our green mana. And so far, you know, from the games that I've played, we really had a good job getting that. I do recommend the deck. It is a fun mono-green aggro deck. Not sure what I would swap out. Probably maybe swap out Settle the Wilds for maybe some more early plays, as you know, there's plenty of times we didn't have a 1-drop. Sometimes we didn't run into the 2-drop and had to mulligan down to a point where we could get something playable on turn 1 or 2. But outside of that, it is a fun deck to play. Definitely worth, if you have some of these cards already, you know, slapping something similar together and running with it. You know, I'm a fan of, see a deck type that you like. If you don't have the cards to play it, then substitute some stuff in. A fun substitution that I think would be for this type of deck would be a Master Symmetrist, which I believe is from the Strixhaven set. It is an interesting card. It has reach, which was one major downside to this deck, is we didn't have the reach. But what that really does is it gives your even power and toughness creatures, like your pack leader who doesn't have natural trample, your Faceless Haven which doesn't have trample, it gives them trample at the beginning of combat. So you pair that with Unnatural Growth, and everything has trample. That is a 4/4 Rhinoceros that has reach, that becomes 8/8 if you have Unnatural Growth on the board. Just a really rock-solid card with a trample archetype. I remember, believe it was the archetype when Renin 7 entered play. I used that card in tandem with Renin 7, and then the big reach Tree Folk had trample at all times, and that just spiraled out of control. If you resolved both of those pieces and they didn't have removal to deal with it immediately, you were swinging all the way home on the next turn, and there was nothing they could do to stop you. So Master Symmetrist is a good substitution for any of these that you don't have and don't want to try and craft. If you're not into alchemy, you know, there's plenty of other cards in the green archetype that really fit this style very well. Geistpack Alpha, I wish had haste. If you want to lean more towards hasty creatures, that would be recommended. But overall, a fun deck. Definitely recommend trying something like it. And we will see you in the next one. This is Furion from the Florida Men Gaming, signing off.